Chapter 21-29. Luo Qingtong's life and death Yin-Yang sword continued to pierce the ground in the depths of Shattered Star Valley, leaving behind bloody marks. Little Pig waved his little hooves and was happily picking up the items. Oh my, good stuff. Good stuff. These blood immortal jade bones are all good stuff. Little Pig's beady eyes were filled with joy as he watched Luo Qingtong kill the bloody shadows one after another. It was as if he was looking at priceless jewels. I love these good things, you know. Little Pig scooped up a blood-red immortal jade bone and wished he could give it a kiss. However, the blood immortal jade bone that hadn't been purified was filled with blood and evil energy. Little Pig hesitated for a long time but still didn't have the courage to bite it. Forget it, it would wait for its master to purify all of them before picking them up and slowly kissing them. My good baby. Little Pig happily skimmed across the bloody ground. With a wave of his 4 little hooves, he collected all the blood immortal jade bones into the trash ring on his little hooves. Master and servant, one killed, the other collected. Their cooperation couldn't be more perfect. Of course, there were also many bloody shadows that pounced on Little Pig. However, their mental attacks couldn't even invade Luo Qingtong's mind. So weren't they courting death by jumping into Little Pig's body? However, before they could even occupy Little Pig's body, they were devoured by Little Pig's fearsome spiritual and soul power. Not even a splash was made as they tried to invade Little Pig's body. In the end, even those bloody shadows that had lost much of their consciousness and were only relying on their instincts to kill Luo Qingtong and Little Pig felt fear. The human and pig in front of them weren't afraid of their mental attacks at all. Not only that, but the girl in blood-red clothes was also like an Azura from hell. It was easy to see where they were. Their bodies, which weren't afraid of physical attacks, disappeared with each slash of the girl's sword. Even though these blood-red shadows did not have much consciousness, they still shuddered at the thought of this ability. They unconsciously retreated, not wanting to touch Luo Qingtong and the ruined tunnel behind her. However, Luo Qingtong was in the middle of a killing spree. How could she let them leave? These blood-colored immortal jade bones would be the foundation for Su Yu and the others to increase their strength in the future. With them around, Su Yu and the others would be able to increase their strength much faster than before. This was something that those ordinary immortal jade bones could not compare to. Therefore, as soon as they retreated, Luo Qingtong immediately rushed forward with her sword, expanding the area she occupied. Of course, she never left the ruins of the tunnel. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if these blood-colored figures saw the opportunity and rushed into the tunnel to kill the great Yong Saint's corpse puppet and Yun Shi. Luo Qingtong would not allow herself to make such a mistake. Moreover, with Luo Qingtong's current strength, she couldn't rush into the swarm of blood-colored shadows. If they all rushed into her body, Luo Qingtong wouldn't be able to withstand it. With these ruins as her base, she didn't need to face too many blood shadows. She could kill them all slowly and eventually she would be able to kill them all. Chapter 21-30. After those bloody immortal jade bones retreated a long distance, Luo Qingtong had some free time. Suddenly she found that the aura in the land of the fallen immortals seemed to have changed a lot. Little Pig happily picked up those bloody immortal jade bones and rushed to the edge of the broken star valley. As soon as he raised his head, he saw the scene in the distance. Immediately he widened his pair of small beady eyes. Master. He shouted and ran back to Luo Qingtong saying anxiously, "There's a change in the forbidden zone. The existence of the sector beast seems to have been exposed. Ayo. Let's hurry over. It seems that it's about to be born. Mamma mia. Why are we so unlucky?" They had just learned the secret of the sector beast and it was about to belong to them. No one else knew about it at all. And the sector beast was about to be born. Holiest *T. Holiest *T. Little Pig was angered to death. He kept stomping his little hooves. How could he not be angry? The birth of the sector beast had attracted a lot of attention. Once the sector beast was born, it was not something that could be captured by humans. When the time came, it would naturally become the origin law of this world and leave this place easily. No one would be able to stop it. Otherwise, why would the sector beast be so precious? It was because most of the sector beasts in this world had already broken out of their shells and left when people heard about them. So what was the use of knowing about their existence and news? It was just a futile effort. Therefore, contracting a sector beast was only useful when it had not broken out of its shell. This was also the reason why the great beings from other regions were fighting for their lives here. Everyone wanted a chance to contract a sector beast. But in the end no one got it. Luo Qingtong heard this and suddenly focused her eyes. She was in the deepest part of the Broken Star Valley. Her back was against a mountain at the end of the valley. Naturally, most of the scene in the sky was covered. That was why she didn't notice the anomaly in the forbidden zone. When she heard Little Pig's words, she immediately stomped her feet on the mountain wall behind her. In an instant her figure shot up and climbed up the mountain wall. Soon she saw the strange scene in the distant sky. As expected, a treasure has appeared. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. It was no wonder that those from the beast-taming king's valley retreated so quickly. Luo Qingtong had been waiting in the tunnel for quite some time. She thought that the people from beast-taming king's valley would lift up the ruins to see if she was truly dead. Unexpectedly, the beast-taming king's valley didn't make a move in the end, saving Luo Qingtong a lot of trouble. From the looks of it, it was very likely that the sector beast had already made their move at that time. The last rumbling sound wasn't the beast-taming king's valley's people attacking the mountain and the ruins, but rather the huge change that happened in the forbidden area. With a quick thought, Luo Qingtong roughly understood what had happened. She narrowed her eyes and jumped down the mountain wall almost instantly. Chapter 21:31. Luo Qingtong couldn't leave the two of them here. If she really couldn't, she could only wake them up. But it had been so long. Yunxi and the Yong Saint corpse puppet should have broken through. As she thought of this, she suddenly heard two banging sounds coming from the tunnel below. Soon after, Yunxi and the great Yong Saint corpse puppet rushed out of the tunnel. Mississippi Yunxi looked at Luo Qingtong and struggled for a long time. She didn't know how to call her Luo Qingtong. She had promised to be Luo Qingtong's subordinate and companion. The girl was the one who gave her a new life. Yunxi couldn't call her by her name like before without any burden. She thought for a while and finally decided to call Luo Qingtong Mississippi. From now on her life was sold to Luo Qingtong. Anyway, without the girl she would have died long ago. Not in the Broken Star Valley but even earlier. Yunxi now knew the true identity of the Yong Saint corpse puppet. She now knew that Luo Qingtong had saved her long ago. If it hadn't been for Luo Qingtong, she would have been pushed to the Yong Saint corpse puppet and killed by Aunt Li. Thinking of this, Yunxi was even more grateful to Luo Qingtong. She had saved her life and given her a new life. Each of these things was worth Yunxi's life to repay Luo Qingtong. Not to mention that Luo Qingtong had given her both. Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent. She didn't say anything about Yunxi's sudden change of address. She looked at Yunxi. The latter had reached the Saint Lord realm in the process of breaking through. To an ordinary person, this increase in strength was already considered a flying speed. After all, it was impossible for ordinary people to advance from the Saint realm to the Saint Lord realm without more than 10 years of effort. Even for those with extraordinary talent, it would still take several years to do so. Because Yunxi had inherited Zhou Xian's beast mark, she had automatically gained his experience and comprehension. As long as her strength could keep up, she would be able to improve. There was no need for comprehension at all. That was why he was able to improve so quickly. But Luo Qingtong still frowned as she watched. The strength of a Saint Lord was still too weak. It was a pity that he did not have enough time. Otherwise he would have let Yunxi directly use the power of the blood celestial jade bone to reach the holy venerate level. At that time it would be better for them to enter the forbidden area. However, there wasn't enough time. Fortunately, Yunxi's beast-taming inheritance could deal with people from the beast-taming king's valley. Luo Qingtong was pleasantly surprised by the upgrade of the great Yong Saint corpse puppet. After devouring the power of the 4 Yin corpse beasts and the Zhuge 13 Yin corpses, his strength had risen to the holy venerate level. He had even obtained a trace of the exalted realm's power. Breaking through to the exalted realm in the future would not be a problem. The only pity was that the great Yong Saint level corpse puppet was unable to use this trace of exalted realm power. Because it wasn't like Zhuge Xian's Yin corpse, which was originally transformed from an expert. The great Yong Saint corpse puppet was only considered to have obtained a trace of opportunity. Unless it broke through to the exalted realm in the future, it would not be able to use this trace of exalted realm power. Otherwise, Luo Qingtong would be able to save a lot of trouble. Let's go. Let's go to the forbidden area. After checking the progress of their breakthroughs, Luo Qingtong took Yun Shi and the great Yong Saint corpse puppet out of the Shattered Stars Valley and rushed toward the forbidden area. Chapter 2132. And at this moment, boom. In the forbidden zone, the bursts of energy that erupted from the heaven and earth became more and more intense. The spiritual energy pillar that pierced through the sky became more and more terrifying. The spiritual energy hurricane that swept out became more and more awe-inspiring. It covered the sky in the center of the forbidden zone. Rumble. The area covered by the spirit chi light pillar continued to expand. The white ball of light that stood in the center of the forbidden zone was also constantly expanding and shrinking. The increasing frequency of contraction and expansion indicated that the life born in this ball of light could be born at any time. That's right, life. Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others had already approached the center of the forbidden zone where the huge white ball of light was located. Even if they didn't look at the increasingly vast heaven and earth anomaly above their heads, they just looked at the white bones on the ground that would rather die than look at the huge white ball of light. They silently stretched out their hands and shouted, wanting to crawl toward the ball of light. Everyone could also be sure that this huge white ball of light was the treasure that caused so many powerhouses from other regions to fight with their lives on the line. In the end, all of them died here. It was also the main reason why the land of the fallen immortals was formed. The closer they got to the center of the forbidden zone, the clearer they could see the appearance of the ball of light. It was shaped like an egg and there seemed to be something inside that was constantly swimming around. From time to time, a small bump would suddenly appear on the ball of light and then disappear. After that, a small bump would appear and then disappear again. Obviously, there was a life born in this ball of light. It was playing with it. What was this thing? A divine beast, an ancient divine beast. Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others were pleasantly surprised. They didn't know about the existence of the Sector Beast, and they had never heard of anything related to the Sector Beast. Even the Star Alliance Temple Master had only heard about it occasionally and didn't know much about it. There was no need to even mention these people who had never left the True Spill continent. The matter of the Sector Beast had nothing to do with them. They didn't know that the thing in front of them was the Sector Beast that could cause countless powerhouses from other regions to go crazy. Its rarity was even higher than that of the ancient divine beast. After all, the ancient divine beasts could contract with humans. As for Sector Beasts, no one had ever heard of anyone being able to contract with a Sector Beast. Once a Sector Beast was born, it would immediately fly away. There was no way to capture it and there was no way to contract it. Around the Sector Beasts that had yet to be born, there were godly beast phantoms formed by the power of the origin of heaven and earth to protect them. It could be said that in this world almost no one could get close to an unborn Sector Beast, let alone contract with it. The bones that littered the ground were proof of that. But at this moment this law had been broken by someone. After Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others had captured Suyu and the others, they were now close to the center of the Forbidden Zone. They were less than a kilometer away from the gigantic ball of light. More and more white bones were piling up in the surroundings. Even after so many years, the power and aura they exuded still did not dissipate. These white bones were all filled with immortal jade bones. There were sparkling immortal jade bones everywhere. Amongst them, all of them were formed from the strength of these experts after they died. Chapter 2133. The power contained within these immortal jade bones was extremely vast and terrifying. The aura of power emitted from them caused Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others to turn pale as they passed by. The invisible power and the terrifying aura they emitted was unimaginable. If these foreign powerhouses were still alive, just how powerful would they be? Perhaps with just a gentle breath they would be able to kill all of them. Was this the power of those powerhouses outside of the True Spill continent? Was this the power of those above the Venerable Realm or perhaps even higher? Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others from the sects of the Hidden World were so excited that their faces flushed red. At the same time they were deeply shocked. Not because of anything else, but because so many foreign powerhouses had all died here without exception. Their corpses had piled up into mountains of bones. Yet Luo Qingtong was able to make arrangements on Suyu and the others, allowing them to walk through this forbidden zone unscathed. That woman was truly an incomparably terrifying monstrous genius. Such a monstrous genius, even in the outer realms, was probably one of a kind. As everyone thought of this, they were all shocked. As for Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others from Beast Tamer King Valley, they were even more terrified. It wasn't because of anything else, but because of the grudge they had with Luo Qingtong a long time ago. In their several confrontations, the young girl's ability had exceeded their imagination. First, she had easily escaped from the forbidden zone of Beast Tamer King Valley. Then in Shattered Star Valley she had displayed an extremely terrifying talent and ability. Now in this forbidden zone she had made arrangements on Su Yu and the others so that they could freely enter and exit the forbidden zone. It caused the terrifying divine beast phantom that had caused the deaths of countless Xeno race experts to turn a blind eye to them. One after another, one after another. Even if the people of Beast Tamer King Valley hated Luo Qingtong, they couldn't deny that the abilities that Luo Qingtong had displayed were all rare and unheard of. Fortunately, they had already killed her in Shattered Star Valley. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. At the same time, the people from Beast Taming King's Valley rejoiced in their hearts. When Luo Qingtong first came to the hidden world, the first thing she did was to cause trouble for them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have known of each other's existence. By the time the other party matured, there would be no way to deal with him. Thank goodness. However, in their hearts, they also hated that they had not paid attention to Luo Qingtong earlier. This way they wouldn't have suffered such heavy losses. However, at that time, who would have thought that a 15 to 16-year-old girl, whose strength was not obvious, would be able to create such a huge storm in the hidden world? Even if she killed the Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others, they would never have thought that Luo Qingtong could threaten a first-class sect like theirs. What a joke. However, this huge joke just happened to come true. While the members of the Beast Taming King's Valley were rejoicing in their hearts, Su Yu and the others' expressions grew more and more solemn. There is no sign of Master. Everyone's hearts were indescribably heavy. The reason why they had agreed to the threat of the Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others, besides not wanting to put the Grand Principal and the others in danger, was also because they thought that Luo Qingtong might be here. In this case, the young girl would definitely have a way to deal with the people of Beast Tamer King's Valley. Chapter 2134. Su Yu, Su Xiaoxiao and the others were full of confidence in her. However, at this moment they were already 1,000 meters away from the ball of light, but they still couldn't see the figure of their master. Even in the vicinity of the ball of light, there was nothing strange or suspicious. From the looks of it, Luo Qingtong shouldn't be here. The abnormality in the forbidden area wasn't caused by Luo Qingtong using the treasure map. Instead, it was a natural abnormality. Then they've done something wrong. They actually brought the people of Beast Taming King's Valley to this place. Once they obtained the life nurtured by the ball of light, they wouldn't be able to escape death. Everyone naturally knew what the consequences would be if Beast Taming King Guguju and the others obtained the thing in the ball of light. At that time, not only would they all die, even Luo Qingtong, whose whereabouts were still unknown, wouldn't be able to escape death. At this moment they didn't dare to completely place their hopes on Ming Zun's strength. After all, they didn't know Yi Qianxian's true identity, nor did they know his true strength. They only knew that he was very strong, and they were afraid that the people in the hidden world wouldn't be his opponent. If they didn't enter the fallen immortal land this time, they probably wouldn't be able to enter. But even so, it didn't mean that Yi Qianxian would be able to protect Luo Qingtong. After all, the power of the ball of light was very strong, and the white bones in the surroundings were all proof of the terrifying life within the ball of light. Once the people of Beast Taming King's Valley obtained it, the consequences would be unimaginable. Thinking of this, Su Yu and the others' complexions turned pale. They really did something wrong. They couldn't continue to make mistakes. Grand Principal Mistress Bai. Su Yu's voice was low as he secretly used the sound transmission method that Luo Qingtong taught him to send a message to the Grand Principal and Bai Suqing. Master isn't here. We can't let the people of Beast Taming King's Valley continue to advance. Otherwise, when they obtain the thing in the ball of light, not only will we be unable to escape, but will also implicate Master. Su Yu's face was firm. Su Xiaoxiao, Little Overlord Yuan, Ling Tianhan, and the others beside her had the same expression. The other members of the Heavenly Diabolism did the same. At this moment they all knew what to do. It didn't matter if they died. However, he couldn't let the people from Beast Taming King's Valley succeed, and he definitely couldn't implicate Luo Qingtong. If they had known earlier that Luo Qingtong wasn't here, they definitely wouldn't have brought the people from Beast Taming King's Valley over. Fortunately, there was still time to correct this mistake. However, they definitely couldn't care less about the people from the Sky Yuan sect. The Grand Supreme Dean and Bai Suqing had also discovered that Luo Qingtong was nowhere to be seen. Their heart sank. Now that he heard Su Yu's words, how could he not know what she meant? Bai Suqing took a deep breath and said, "You don't have to care about us. This time, it's our Heavenly Yuan sect that has implicated you. You should leave immediately. No matter what, we can't let the people from Beast Taming King's Valley get the thing in the ball of light." Without Luo Qingtong here, they couldn't deal with the people from Beast Taming King's Valley. Su Yu and the others leaving immediately was the best thing to do. As long as they were gone, the people from Beast Taming King's Valley would be exposed to the power of the divine beast's shadow transformation. At that time they would naturally suffer. As for the people from the Sky Yuan sect, Su Yu and the others had already protected them once. Chapter 2135. They couldn't blame anyone. The Grand Supreme Dean said in a low voice, "That's right. You don't have to care about us. If the people from Beast Taming King's Valley get their hands on that thing, won't we still die? What's the difference between dying early or later?" The Grand Supreme Dean thought that Luo Qingtong would be here, but she wasn't. If they had known, they wouldn't have come here. However, the Grand Supreme Dean knew that the temptation of the Forbidden Area treasure was too great. Even if they didn't want to come, the people from Sky Yuan sect would want to come. At that time, wouldn't they still want to come? Therefore, this matter was simply unavoidable. Su Yu and the rest had done their best. If it wasn't for them, the people from Sky Yuan sect would have been dead. After all, if Su Yu and the rest weren't there to block the people from Beast Taming King's Valley, they would definitely use the people from other sects to block the disaster for them. At that time, the people from Sky Yuan sect would definitely be placed at the outermost. How could they have survived until now? The Grand Supreme Dean and Bai Suqing were very open-minded. Hearing their words, Su Yu immediately nodded and said, "Okay then, Grand Dean Master's wife, take care. Also, you can take out the immortal jade bone that Master gave you to take a look. I suspect that Master might have done something to it." Su Yu thought for a long time and realized that the place where Luo Qingtong most likely had done something was the immortal jade bone. There were so many of them, and the only thing that everyone had was the immortal jade bone that Master gave them. Furthermore, when Luo Qingtong gave them the purifying immortal jade bone, she specifically instructed them not to take it out to the people from the Sky Yuan sect. They would take it out later and not use it for the time being. Su Yu thought that Luo Qingtong said that to guard against Qin Tong and the other pests in Sky Yuan sect. At the same time, she wanted to train them. Now it seemed that things weren't like that. Master might have done something to the immortal jade bone early on, so she gave them the immortal jade bone on purpose. Guarding against Qin Tong and the others was just a side effect. Su Yu and the others had already taken out the purified celestial jade bones and distributed them to the Heavenly Yuan sect members who were willing to support them when the Heavenly Yuan sect members expressed their support. Su Yu didn't know if her guess was right or not, but at this time they couldn't care about the Supreme Dean and the others. They could only treat a dead horse as a living horse. Hearing Su Yu's words, Bai Suqing and the Grand Supreme Dean were stunned for a moment, then they were delighted. After Su Yu finished talking to them, she immediately passed her order to the people from Heavenly Diabolism. Because they were standing in a circle at the outermost part, the message was passed easily. Soon all the people from Heavenly Diabolism, including Su Xiaoxiao and the rest, understood her order. Chapter 2136. Let's go. Su Yu's voice rang out at this moment. Her figure also abruptly shot backward. When her voice rang out, all the people from the Heavenly Diabolism began to move. In an instant, the outermost circle of the circular formation suddenly spread out in all directions and fell apart. Bastard! Seeing this, the beast tamer King Guguju and the others were shocked and angry. They did not expect that Su Yu and the others would launch an attack at this moment. They were so eager that they did not care about the lives of the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect. The beast tamer King Guguju and the others had been paying attention to the movements of Su Yu and the others. After all, it was related to their lives. Naturally, they were always on guard against Su Yu and the others. However, they thought that since Su Yu and the others were willing to be threatened by them for the sake of the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect, they would naturally not ignore the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect. Therefore, they were on guard that Su Yu and the others would suddenly attack them. However, who would have thought that Su Yu and the others did not do that and instead retreated? These people did not care about the lives of the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect. If they did that, the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect would also die. The people from the Beast Tamer Valley were caught off guard. So were the people from the other sects. They helplessly watched Su Yu and the others scatter, completely exposing them to the center of the forbidden area, in front of the terrifying power of the divine beast shadows. Seeing that those divine beasts were no different from the real form of the divine beasts, the vast power of the divine beasts rushed toward them. The people from the other sects who were drooling and excited when they saw the huge ball of light were now panic-stricken and fearful. Their voices were sharp as they chased after Su Yu and the others. He wanted to capture them before they left for good. Otherwise, in front of the divine beast's power of the divine beasts that could kill the experts from the extraterrestrial region like chickens and dogs, they would die without leaving a trace. This was not a metaphor but a statement. These people would really die without leaving a single trace behind. At the same time, the beast tamer King Guguju and the others also rushed towards Su Yu and the others. At this moment, no one cared about the people from the Sky Yuan sect. After all, Su Yu and the others clearly didn't care about them. What was the use of using them to threaten Su Yu and the others? What if the threat didn't work and Su Yu ran away instead? Could it be that at that time they were going to wait for death? Everyone's first reaction was, of course, to capture Su Yu and the others. As for the Heavenly Yuan sect crowd, they felt an indescribable sense of panic when Su Yu and the others retreated. However, they also knew that even if they didn't die now, once Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others obtained the thing in the light, they would still die. In that case, it wasn't worth it to die now. They could also see Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others' plan fail. The crowd watched as Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others angrily went to capture Su Yu and the others. Their hearts were very calm. However, at this moment the Grand Supreme Dean and Bai Suqing's voices rang out. Quick, take out the purifying immortal jade bones that you obtained from Luo Qingtong. Chapter 2137. The Grand Supreme Dean and Bai Suqing's voices were anxious and anxious. The power of the divine beast shadows was already rushing towards them. Whether it worked or not, it all depended on this moment. Hearing this, everyone immediately took out the purifying divine jade bones that they had obtained from Su Yu and the rest. Bang! At this moment, a Sky Yuan sect disciple was brushed by the power of a divine beast shadow that was rushing towards them. The flame feather that was only a few millimeters away almost brushed past his shoulder and completely vaporized his shoulder. The Sky Yuan sect disciple was in so much pain that tears came out of his eyes. However, he was ecstatic. The power of the purifying divine jade bones is useful. It's useful. As his voice rang out, the group of people from the Heaven Yuan sect almost hugged each other and cried. What did it mean to have a silver lining? What did it mean to come back from the brink of death? At this moment they finally understood the situation. They did not have to die. They did not have to die. Great ups and downs, great joy and great sorrow. Everyone was unable to control their emotions. At this moment the beast tamer King Guguju and the rest also noticed the commotion at the Sky Yuan sect. When they turned around they were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. These bastards. They actually have a way to avoid the power of the divine beast shadows. The beast tamer King Guguju and the rest were furious. They could not understand why the Sky Yuan sect disciples did not use a way to avoid the power of the divine beast shadows earlier if they had a way to do so. Why did they use it to threaten Su Yu and the rest? Could it be that the latter and the rest deliberately set them up? However, even if they wanted to set them up, there were so many opportunities along the way. Why did they not set them up? The beast tamer King Guguju and the rest were furious. It was impossible for them to go back and capture the Sky Yuan sect disciples now. After a short moment of excitement, the latter and the rest immediately realized the danger they were in. Previously, the Sky Yuan sect disciples did not know that they also had a way to avoid the power of the divine beast shadows, and all their attention was on Su Yu and the rest. Now that they knew that they also had a way, they would naturally turn around to deal with them. Therefore, the people of the Heavenly Yuan sect quickly regained their senses and retreated out of the forbidden area. It had not been easy for them to obtain a chance of survival. They did not want to repay kindness with enmity and snatch that huge ball of light. That should be Luo Qingtong's. She was the one who had saved all of their lives. The remaining members of the Heavenly Yuan sect were not cruel and unscrupulous. They would not do such a thing. Of course, it was also fortunate that they did not do so. This was because the immortal jade bones that Luo Qingtong asked Su Yu and the others to give them were different from those of Su Yu and the others. The reason why these immortal jade bones were able to evade these mythological beasts was because Luo Qingtong had infused them with some mysterious power that she had studied from Bai Suqing and the Grand Supreme Dean. After Luo Qingtong's blood eye restored the essence of these powers, she tried to inject these powers into the purifying immortal jade bones for Su Yu and the others to protect themselves. In the future, when they entered the forbidden area, they would not be injured by those mysterious powers. However, Luo Qingtong was not sure if she could succeed at that time. Therefore she did not tell Su Yu and the others. She was afraid that they would be too lazy and rely on her, which would cause trouble instead. Chapter 2138. Su Yu and the others had the most concentrated mysterious power in their purifying immortal jade bones. Therefore they could easily avoid the power of the mythological beast, because the latter saw them as their own kind. However, the power of the purifying immortal jade bones was different for the Heavenly Yuan sect. The mysterious power they had obtained was not enough to completely conceal their auras. That was why the Heavenly Yuan sect disciple was burned by the power of the divine beast shadow that was rushing towards them. If they wanted to use this power to rush to the vicinity of the huge ball of light, they would die before they could even reach it, not to mention that they could not withstand the scratches from the mythological beast. Even if they reached it, the mysterious power of the purifying immortal jade bones would have been exhausted. At that time they would still die. He could only retreat like he was doing now. Only then could they survive. After all, Luo Qingtong was not that stupid. After saving the people of the Heavenly Yuan sect, would she give them a chance to bite her back? Luo Qingtong had never been willing to gamble with people's hearts. Even in this strange world, with the warmth from Grandpa Luo and Yi Qianren, she was able to restrain the evilness and coldness in her bones. However, in reality, the defense in her heart would not disappear so easily. There was a difference between close and distant. Luo Qingtong could give the people of the Heavenly Yuan sect some help for the sake of the Grand Supreme Dean and Bai Suqing. However, there was no more help. If the people of the Heavenly Yuan sect were greedy, they would be the unlucky ones in the end. Luo Qingtong could pull them up from the abyss of despair, but she could also kick them down again. Fortunately, the people of the Heavenly Yuan sect did not make such a wrong choice. They retreated in an orderly manner towards the outside of the forbidden area. Su Yu and the others, after dispersing fiercely, also rushed in the direction of the outside of the forbidden area. Their figures were extremely fast in the center of the forbidden area. The beast tamer King Guguju and the rest of the people from the other sects clearly saw them rushing towards the outside of the forbidden area from different directions, but they could not do anything to stop them. That was because the divine beasts didn't care about Su Yu and the others. Instead they rushed towards them. Under the attack of a group of divine beasts, the group could only scream miserably. Even staying alive was a problem, so how could they chase after Su Yu and the others? Su Yu and the others could fly through the center of the forbidden zone without a care, but could they? As long as they collided with a divine beast, it would be the end for them. How could it be compared to Su Yu and the others who could do whatever they wanted? Thus, the people from beast-taming King's Valley and the other sects could only watch as Su Yu's group mixed in with the divine beasts and rushed out of the forbidden area. A group of experts in sects from the hidden world could easily kill Su Yu and the others countless times if they were in the outside world. However, they were blocked by the divine beasts and were unable to do anything to the other party. The beast tamer King Guguju and the others felt as if they were about to vomit blood. They had suffered a few losses in the hands of Luo Qingtong. But now they couldn't even do anything to her subordinates. Luo Qingtong, that bitch, even if she died she wouldn't let them have an easy time. The beast tamer King Guguju and the others were so angry that their bodies couldn't help but tremble violently. However, it was too late to say anything now. Chapter 2139. They thought that Su Yu and the rest had weaknesses in their hands and would not be able to escape from their control. If they had known this would happen, they would have cut off Su Yu and the rest when they had no choice but to be coerced by them. They should have cut off the other party's limbs and crippled their strength, leaving them with only their lives to lead the way. The beast tamer King Guguju and the rest were furious. However, there was nothing else they could do now. They looked at those extremely terrifying divine beasts flocking towards them. They could easily annihilate all of them. Everyone felt an indescribable chill in their hearts. Ah! Screams of agony rang out one after another. The divine beast flowing light in the center of the forbidden zone was extremely powerful. It was far from the power of the divine beast shadows that they had encountered in the forbidden zone outside. Even a powerful saint venerable would have a layer of skin peeled off from the mere touch of these divine beasts' flowing light. The power that they were so proud of in the hidden world was not even worth mentioning in front of the divine beast flowing light. The attacks that they launched were completely eliminated before they could even reach the divine beast shadows. There was not even a splash in the air. Those terrifying divine beast phantoms only needed to flap their wings, raise their heads and raise their hooves to neutralize their attacks, eliminate them and then kill them. The people from the various sects and the beast tamer King Guguju and the rest were no match for them at all. Even if he wanted to escape, he had nowhere to run. They were surrounded by the power of the divine beast flowing light. Even if they wanted to escape, where could they escape to? If they could escape, there would not be so many corpses of the extraterritorial experts around. Those people must have been extremely shocked when they discovered the power of the divine beast flowing light. Among these extraterritorial experts, some fought for it and some tried to escape. But in the end, without exception, they all died here. Under such circumstances, how could they possibly escape from the divine beast flowing light's attack? The faces of the people from the various sects and the beast tamer King Guguju and the rest were filled with despair. Right at this moment. Rumble. In the sky there was an intense rumbling sound again. At this moment the gigantic ball of light suddenly shrank. There was a loud boom. Its entire body suddenly lifted off the ground and swept towards the sky. Above its head the huge light pillar and spiritual chi hurricane abruptly shrank and fell. Rumble. The sound of the explosion was like the collapse of the world. In that instant the spirit chi tornadoes and light pillars all entered the huge ball of light. A violent sound that shook the heavens and earth resounded, and the power of the mythological beast phantoms was recalled by the huge ball of light in an instant. Countless streaks of light flew towards the ball of light from all over the forbidden zone in an instant. Kakakaka. Its seemingly transparent but incomparably hard eggshell, under the bombardment of the pillars of light and the spirit chi hurricane, produced a series of crisp and clear cracking sounds, which almost shook the heavens and the earth. The divine beast to be born. Bang. Chapter 2140. The sector beast was about to be born. Was there anyone who could form a contract with it? If there was, then he would have a chance. If not, then he would really miss a great opportunity this time. The Star Alliance Temple Master was extremely nervous. His strength and status in the extraterrestrial domain were not high, but as a member of the Star Alliance he still knew some things about the sector beast. For example, once the sector beast broke out of its shell, it would be impossible to form a contract with it. At this time he could only hope that someone could form a contract with it in the land of the fallen immortals. In this way he would be able to seize the sector beast. In fact, if the land of the fallen immortals did not allow extraterrestrials and powerhouses above the venerable realm to enter, he would have already rushed in and formed a contract with the sector beast. At this time the Star Alliance Temple Master had already forgotten that so many extraterrestrial powerhouses had died here. What was he to them? Of course, even if he thought of it he might not care. Because no one knew what kind of protection was around the unborn sector beast. Those who knew were all dead. Therefore, in the eyes of the Star Alliance Temple Master, those extraterrestrial powerhouses must have killed each other and died here in order to fight for the sector beast. He did not know that it was because of the power of the divine beast shadow. At this time Yi Qianming was also standing on a peak not far away, staring in the direction of the land of the fallen immortals. Bei Qing and Feng Yu stood behind him, also looking in the direction of the land of the fallen immortals nervously. The sector beast was about to be born. They did not know if the evil doctor could seize the opportunity to form a contract with it. It was a pity that Master could not enter. Even his soul could not follow the evil doctor through the connection of the 9 Phoenix Ring because it was a great supplement for the spiritual aura in the land of the fallen immortals. Otherwise, the sector beast would not be able to escape. But now it all depended on whether the evil doctor had the luck and opportunity. At this time Luo Qingtong and Yun Shi had just appeared outside the forbidden zone. Oh no! Looking at the scene in the sky, Little Pig instantly jumped on Luo Qingtong's shoulder like an ant on a hot pan. Oh no, it's too late. It was so angry that it kept howling. The sector beast is about to be born. They had only just arrived outside the forbidden zone. By the time they reached the center of the forbidden zone, how long would it be? That sector beast had already broken out of its shell and escaped. Oh my mamma mia. It had finally found such a treasure, and it had actually let it slip away right under its nose. One had to know that in this world, there were only a few who were lucky enough to meet an unborn sector beast. Oh, it was so angry. His heart ached, his stomach hurt, and his hooves hurt. Just as Little Pig was using his little hoof to cover his chubby chest as if he was suffocating, Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes as she looked at the heaven and earth anomaly that suddenly appeared in the sky. It's not necessarily impossible. She looked at the streams of light that were rapidly passing by, completely ignoring her existence as they all rushed towards the center of the forbidden zone. If it were any other time in this forbidden area, it would be impossible for anyone to take a step forward. Luo Qingtong looked indifferent. Chapter 2141. What should I do if my heart hurts again? If it had known that the so-called mysterious power and danger in the forbidden zone was the power of the divine beast shadows, it would have urged Luo Qingtong to come here and contract with the sector beast first. Who would have thought that the treasure in the land of the deceased immortals would be the sector beast? Thinking of this, Little Pig pounded his feet and stomped his chest. It should have asked Luo Qingtong to come to the forbidden zone earlier. But why am I such a pig brain? Why am I such a pig brain? Little Pig was so sad that it completely forgot that it was a pig now. If it wasn't a pig brain, then what was it? While Little Pig was complaining in its heart, Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent. She raised her eyes slightly. So, tell me, the person who deliberately left the treasure map in the Saint King's tomb, wanted to resurrect himself, and came to the land of the deceased immortals to seize the treasure, how could he be so sure that he would be able to bypass the power of the divine beast shadows and enter the center of the forbidden zone? You should know that he doesn't have the ability to predict the future. It's also impossible for him to know that the sector beast would appear at this moment. As soon as Luo Qingtong's voice came out, Little Pig's pair of mung bean eyes widened instantly. It looked at Luo Qingtong and suddenly pointed its little hoof at her, stammering, You mean, that's right. The blood in Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed in an instant. She smiled at it and said, no matter what the origin of that Saint King is, there must be a treasure map in the treasure map. But in that treasure map, there must be something he did that allowed him to pass through the forbidden zone and appear next to the sector beast. Besides this, Luo Qingtong couldn't think of any other possibility that could make that Saint King so confident and cautious. Even if he was dead, he still made countless arrangements. Once he was resurrected, he would come to the forbidden zone in the land of the deceased immortals and obtain the sector beast. No matter where that Saint King got the treasure map, it was also possible that he wasn't the Saint King himself at all. After all, there were countless powerhouses who died in the land of the deceased immortals. Since there was someone like Zhou Xian who was lucky enough to escape the forbidden zone and live for a period of time, of course, it was also possible that someone could use special means to preserve their consciousness and then possess that Saint King. Otherwise, as a Saint King, the other party's methods were a bit too many. Luo Qingtong even suspected that the heart of all trees and heart of wood spirit that she obtained from Bright Moon Island in the north region were also cultivated by him. Saint King Xian was the immortals. If this was the case, then it could explain why there was such a high-level array formation in the True Spill continent. But now it was no matter what. Most importantly, Luo Qingtong still had a chance to catch up with the birth of the sector beast. Let's go. Luo Qingtong raised her hand and took out the treasure map. After carefully examining it, she found that the starting point marked on the treasure map was outside the forbidden zone. And the end point was the place where the sector beast was at the moment when the heaven and earth anomaly was greatly absorbed. This treasure map indeed led directly to the location of the sector beast. Chapter 2142. At this moment, in the center of the forbidden area, Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others were still in a dream. They thought that they were going to die for sure. But who would have thought that just a moment ago, those divine beasts were all summoned back by that gigantic jumping ball of light in an instant. Countless divine beasts turned into beams of light and flew back into the huge jumping ball of light. At the same time, countless pillars of light and tornadoes of spirit energy were blasted into the gigantic ball of light. Even if the beast-taming King Valley Master and the others were stupid, they knew what was going on. Haha. The treasure is about to appear. The divine beast's powers have all been summoned back. It's using the power of the light pillars and spirit chi to bombard its shell. Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others were wild with joy. They didn't think that they would be able to welcome such a change and opportunity at this time. Haha, those idiots under Sky Yuan sect and Luo Qingtong, They thought that without them we would die. In the end we weren't fated to die. This treasure is ours. Beast Tamer King Guguju's face was crazed. He looked up to the sky and laughed. His laughter was filled with satisfaction and carefree. In an instant, he leaped up and charged toward the huge ball of light in front of him. Everyone from Beast Tamer King's Valley, cover me and get the treasure. Beast Tamer King Guguju's voice was stern. Here he and the golden-winged rock were the strongest. If the people of Beast Tamer King's Valley supported him, they would definitely be able to get the treasure. At this time the people of Beast Tamer King's Valley naturally knew what to do. If the Beast Taming King Valley's Valley Master obtained the treasure, all of them would benefit from it. But if they fought among themselves and let others get the treasure, they would be in trouble. The people of Beast Tamer King's Valley immediately united to block the people of the other sections. The moment the voice of the Beast Taming King Valley's Valley Master rang out, the latter reacted swiftly. They all rushed towards the huge ball of light. Among them were a few other first-class sections. However, the Beast Taming King Valley's members who obtained the 5th set of beast taming arts were stronger than any of the other sections. Coupled with the demonic beasts that they brought with them, it would be a piece of cake for them to stop the people from the various sections. Even if all the sects joined forces, they would still be able to resist for a while. As long as he could stall for time, it would be enough for Beast Tamer King Guguju's figure to rush in front of the huge jumping ball of light. Su Yu, the Grand Supreme Dean, and the others also sensed the commotion when the gigantic ball of light moved. When Su Yu and the others discovered that all the divine beasts had been recalled, their complexions instantly froze. The faces of the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect changed drastically. Not good. That treasure is about to be born and all the streams of light have been recalled. Everyone was burning with anxiety. If that was the case, then wouldn't the Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others be of no threat? Then that treasure. Thinking of this, everyone suddenly raised their heads to look in front of them. With a single glance, their expressions instantly froze. Chapter 2143. Crack, crack, crack. The shell of the huge light ball was already covered with cracks. The huge light pillar and spiritual energy hurricane that descended from the sky, as well as the divine beast flowing light that was summoned back, were all desperately crashing against the transparent shell. The surface of the shell was full of bumps and hollows. At the top of the light ball, fragments had already begun to fall down. Something was moving upwards, one arch at a time. From the Beast Tamer King Guguju's gaze, he could only vaguely see a small black thing wriggling on the surface. At the top, there was only a thin layer of membrane left, as if it could be pushed open at any time. The Beast Tamer King Guguju looked at it and suddenly sucked in a breath of cold air. Not for anything else but for such a huge phenomenon of heaven and earth descending from the sky. So much power poured in, but only a little of the outer shell of the light ball was blasted open, and the membrane inside was still intact. What on earth was that thing inside? He watched as the little thing pushed against the membrane more and more frequently and with more and more strength. Together with the power pouring in from the sky and the divine beast flowing light that was flying in from all directions, that membrane was pushed higher and higher, and the light on it became more and more transparent. The Beast Tamer King Guguju's heart was fiercely shocked. He didn't know why, but he always had a feeling that he must not let the thing inside rush out before he made the contract. Otherwise, everything would be lost. Although he didn't know where this feeling came from, the Beast Tamer King Guguju still trusted his intuition. He directly rushed to the front of the huge light ball without stopping. The divine beast flowing light that was summoned back had already turned into the purest power to help the huge light ball break its shell. Therefore, at this time, there was no reaction at all to the approach of the Beast Tamer King Guguju. All the divine beast flowing light all turned into rays of spiritual energy light and leaped back into the huge light ball. The Beast Tamer King Guguju was occasionally brushed by one or two rays of light. He felt the pure and rich power that merged into his body, and immediately his heart was wild with joy. He looked at the huge light ball in front of him so excited that his eyes almost turned red. Haha. Treasure, this is definitely a peerless treasure. Before, the Beast Tamer King Guguju was still guessing that the thing inside the ball of light could be a mythical beast or even an ancient mythical beast. When he sensed the pure, rich and untainted power of heaven and earth formed by the flowing light of the divine beasts, he was certain. Among them there must be existences like the ancient divine beasts. Even if it wasn't, it would definitely be a peerless treasure on par with it. The beast tamer King Guguju felt an indescribable excitement and madness when he thought about how he was about to obtain an existence similar to an ancient divine beast. He had never thought that he would have such a heaven-defying opportunity one day. Haha. Luo Qingtong, this valley master has to thank you. Thank you for taking away the beast mark inheritance in the Broken Star Valley. Otherwise, how could this valley master have the chance to kill you and catch up with the changes in the Forbidden Zone in time? The beast tamer King Guguju felt proud in his heart. Before, he was extremely angry with Luo Qingtong for taking away the opportunity of his beast tamer King Valley in the Broken Star Valley. However, from the looks of it, he still had to thank Luo Qingtong. Chapter 2144. Haha. As the beast tamer King Guguju laughed, he reached out his hand and bit his index finger. He raised his hand and pressed it toward the huge ball of light. He didn't know how to make a contract with such a treasure. But thinking about it, it was always right to use his own blood as a medium. Haha. Little baby, come here. The beast tamer King Guguju laughed loudly. His finger directly passed through the huge pillar of light and the spirit chi hurricane that was pouring down, and pressed towards the huge ball of light. At this moment, buzz. A blood-red array suddenly appeared on the white bone ground under the ball of light. Bang bang bang. Lines of the array spread out one after another. The white bone corpses all around exploded in an instant. The power contained in them instantly sank into the blood-red array that flew up and filled the lines of the array. The lines of the array on the blood-red array lit up. Then the huge blood-red array was completely lit up. Then a faintly discernible silhouette appeared in an instant. Somewhere outside the forbidden area. Holding the treasure in her hand, Luo Qingtong directly stepped into the blood-red array that was activated by the aura of the treasure map in her hand and suddenly lit up. Boom. The energy under her feet was activated. As the power in her body poured into the place marked on the treasure map under her feet. At the same time, it was also the center of the blood-red array. Lines of power and aura suddenly burst out from the blood-red array. The grass and soil all around flew. Countless gravel tumbled and was discharged in all directions from the location of the blood-red array. The huge blood-red array was spinning. Lines of light suddenly shot out from the lines of the array and shrouded Luo Qingtong Yunxi, and the corpse puppet of the great Yong Saint beside her. When they touched the treasure map in Luo Qingtong's hand, they seemed to have determined something. Swoosh. Those lights concentrated on Luo Qingtong. Fudgy. Little Pig didn't have time to react and fell to the ground in an instant. And Luo Qingtong, who was beside it, disappeared without a trace. Damn. Little Pig widened his beady eyes in shock. Oh my god. This lousy map could only transport Luo Qingtong. Its eyes widened in shock as it looked at the great Yong Saint corpse puppet and Yunxi, who were also left behind. His beady eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Oh my god. Oh my god. Little Pig was about to go crazy. First of all, he did not know what was going on with the sector beasts. The beast-taming King's Valley and the other sects were all in the forbidden area. After all, with such a huge commotion in the forbidden area, how could they not come over to take a look? Now that the godly beasts had disappeared, those people might be fine. They might have already rushed to where the sector beasts were. Didn't that mean that Luo Qingtong had to deal with so many enemies by herself? Oh my god. Thinking of this, Little Pig's little tail, which was coiled into a mosquito coil, straightened. Chapter 2145. Little Pig hurriedly said to Yunxi. Then he controlled the great Yong Saint's corpse puppet and rushed toward the center of the forbidden zone. I'm going to be King screwed. I knew that this treasure map could only teleport one person. Why would I follow Luo Qingtong here? Why didn't I bring Yunxi and the great Yong Saint's corpse puppet to the center of the forbidden zone? If not, I can hide in the 9-story exquisite pagoda. In this way I can follow Luo Qingtong. But it's too late. My mommy, master, please don't let anything happen to you. Little Pig wailed in his heart. Carrying Yunxi and the great Yong Saint's corpse puppet, he ran toward the center of the forbidden zone. At this moment, in the center of the forbidden zone, the heavenly Yuan sect and Su Yu were rushing toward the beast-tamer King Guguju. But it was too late. In order to avoid being caught by the beast-tamer King's Valley and the other sects, they desperately retreated. They were already far away from the giant jumping ball of light. But who would have thought that the giant jumping ball of light would suddenly change and summon all the divine beasts back? Originally, the Beast Tamer King's Valley and the other sects were going to be killed by the divine beasts. But now that all the divine beasts were summoned back, the Beast Tamer King's Valley and the other sects benefited instead. The pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. Seeing that the Beast Tamer King Guguju was the first to approach the giant ball of light, the Heavenly Yuan sect and Suyu were so anxious that they were about to burst into flames. They were rushing over with all their might. But they couldn't make it in time. They hadn't even reached the area where the Beast Taming King's Valley's people were blocking them, let alone the Beast Taming King's Valley Master. They wouldn't be able to stop him and prevent him from obtaining the divine beast light orb. Everyone was in despair and could only watch as his finger pressed toward the giant ball of light. But at this moment the blood-colored array suddenly activated. Everyone's eyes were instantly fixed on the huge blood-colored array formation. Who could it be? Then who was the person inside? The people from the other sects who were entangled with the Beast Taming King's Valley also fixed their gazes on the gigantic blood-colored formation. When they saw the faintly discernible figure above the array formation, their hearts trembled violently. Who was it that was able to pass through a formation and appear right in front of the ball of light at the center of the Forbidden Zone? Could it be someone from outside the realm? After all, besides the Xenorace experts that had participated in the fight for this treasure, there was no other possibility for them to set up a formation in the surroundings. However, weren't all those Xenorace experts already dead? Besides, outsiders couldn't enter the land of the fallen immortals. Otherwise, the people from the Star Alliance Hall would have already come in and taken the treasure away. Everyone was very nervous. They didn't know who the figure that appeared in the array was. However, in their own hearts, they naturally wished that it was someone from outside the realm. After all, it wouldn't be a problem for them if outsiders obtained this treasure. However, if the Beast Taming King's Valley were to obtain this treasure, then everyone in the hidden world would have to submit to them. Chapter 2146. Thinking of this, everyone was anxious as they stared in the direction of the blood-red array. As for the Beast Tamer King Guguju, when he saw the blood-red array light up, he was also shocked. Not for anything else, but he could also think of what everyone else could think of. Thinking that the person who appeared in the blood-red array was most likely someone from outside the realm and had broken through the restriction to appear here, the Beast Tamer King Guguju felt a chill in his heart. Luckily, he had already broken through the light pillar's shroud. As long as he pressed down, he would be able to make the little fellow in the ball of light recognize him as its master. Now, even if the Heavenly Emperor came, no one would be able to stop him. Thinking of this, the Beast Tamer King Guguju sneered and pressed down. Haha. He laughed out loud. No one can stop me. This treasure is mine. As he spoke, his laughter was indescribably arrogant and proud. His entire person was indescribably proud of himself. Hearing this, the people from the Sky Yuan sect and Suyu's group all felt a chill in their hearts. The Beast Tamer King Guguju had succeeded. Then they and their master. Damn it. Suyu's eyes were bloodshot as she punched the ground. She was like a trapped beast as she roared in a hoarse voice. I shouldn't have retreated. She shouldn't have retreated and let the divine beasts in the forbidden area kill the people from the sects and the Beast Tamer King's Valley. She should have led the people from the heavenly diabolism to resist and kill them. This way, when the divine beasts retreated, they could have stopped the people from the Beast Tamer King's Valley for a moment. Suyu's eyes were bloodshot. She couldn't help her master protect the opportunity that should have belonged to her. Alright, how can this be blamed on you? The Grand Dean's eyes were also slightly red. The people from the Beast Tamer King's Valley and the other sects are waiting to catch you. If you had stayed, they would have been able to get close to the giant ball of light before the divine beasts retreated. Speaking of which, it's our Sky Yuan sect's fault for dragging you down. With that, the Grand Supreme Dean clenched his fists tightly. If it wasn't for that bastard Chen Tong, Su Yu's identity wouldn't have been exposed. Even if he had only said that Su Yu and the others had a way to avoid the divine beast flowing light and didn't reveal the identities of Su Yu and the others, things wouldn't have escalated to this point. But that bastard said that Su Yu and the others were Luo Qingtong's people. Under such circumstances, the Beast Taming King's Valley naturally wouldn't let Su Yu's group off. Even the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect had become the trump card to suppress Su Yu and the others. Speaking of which, it was all their fault for harming Luo Qingtong. The Grand Supreme Dean's heart was filled with guilt. The Heaven Branch sect master and the others did not say anything. The Grand Supreme Dean was right. Indeed, they had harmed Luo Qingtong and Suyu as well as themselves. Fortunately, Luo Qingtong wasn't here. They could only hope that she would be able to escape the pursuit of the beast-taming King's Valley. But as everyone thought this, they felt that their hopes were very slim. After all, once the beast-taming King Guguju obtained this treasure, perhaps even the Star Alliance's temple master wouldn't be able to do anything to him. At that time they could only treat him with respect. In this way, the entire hidden world and True Spill continent would be under his control. Where could Luo Qingtong escape to? This time they had really caused the other party and himself to be in deep trouble. As everyone thought this, their hearts were filled with despair. The people from the other sects were slightly better off. Listening to the voice of the beast-taming King Guguju, they felt that they could only serve him in the future. Chapter 2147. A faint chuckling voice rang out. Beast-tamer King Guguju, you flatter me. Although I also think that this weapon in my hand is a treasure and it's one of a kind in the world. But if Beast-tamer King Guguju wants to contract with it, it's impossible. Because it already belongs to me. Her words had a double meaning. As this voice rang out, the heavenly Yuanzong, Su Yu and the others, who had originally been in despair, instantly revealed surprised and joyful expressions. At this moment they were so moved that they almost shed tears. Master. Luo Qingtong. Their voices sounded at the same time. Almost as soon as they raised their heads, they saw a girl in a fiery red robe standing in front of beast-tamer King Guguju, looking down at the heavens. Luo Qingtong swung her sword, which happened to block Guguju's finger. When the latter touched it with his finger, he felt a cold sensation. He thought that he had touched the outer shell of the huge ball of light. At this moment, hearing Luo Qingtong's voice, beast-tamer King Guguju's laughter stopped abruptly. He looked at the girl in front of him with a shocked expression, not knowing why she suddenly appeared here. Luo Qingtong. You bitch, didn't you die in the Broken Stars Valley? Beast-tamer King Guguju's face was filled with indescribable shock and disbelief. At that time they had destroyed the cave and even the 4 Yin corpse beasts and Yin corpses were completely motionless. How could Luo Qingtong come out of the cave alive? Beast-tamer King Guguju couldn't believe what he was seeing at this moment. Moreover, how did she appear in front of him? Beast-tamer King Guguju's eyes popped out. Looking at Luo Qingtong standing in front of him, he seemed to think of something and suddenly lowered his head to look at the huge blood-red formation. As expected, the figure on the blood-red formation had disappeared. Beast-tamer King Guguju's face was ferocious. He looked at Luo Qingtong and shouted, "Bitch, did you come here through that blood-red formation? The person in the blood-red formation was you. This bitch, it must be the treasure map's credit. Damn it. Previously, even if they had confirmed that she was dead, they should have searched for the treasure map from her. However, the changes in the Forbidden Zone had come too suddenly. They had been overjoyed at the time, thinking that since the Forbidden Zone had changed, it didn't matter if they didn't have her treasure map. Plus, they were afraid of losing the initiative, so they hurriedly rushed here. In the end, he was almost killed by Su Yu and the others and even gave Luo Qingtong a chance to rush here. It was really infuriating. If they knew that the treasure map could be sent directly to this light ball through the formation, they would have gotten it no matter what. Beast-tamer King Guguju thought, and his teeth almost broke from clenching. He fiercely waved his hand and was about to blast Luo Qingtong away, and press on the huge light ball's outer shell again. However, before he could make a move, Luo Qingtong, who had already seen through his plan, directly blocked it with her sword. Boom! The sharp sword chi from the life and death dual right sword in her hand, mixed with the aura of the death edge and annihilation, forced beast-tamer King Guguju to retreat. Chapter 2148. Beast-tamer King Guguju didn't expect Luo Qingtong to have such strength. She didn't die in the cave in the Shattered Star Valley, and she even improved her strength. Beast-tamer King Guguju looked at the aura of the Holy Emperor realm around Luo Qingtong and almost went crazy. How did this woman become such a monster? She was just a Holy Emperor before. How did she reach the Holy Emperor realm in such a short time? How did she do it? Beast-tamer King Guguju didn't know that Luo Qingtong could purify the immortal jade bones, especially the blood immortal jade bones. Naturally, he didn't know where the girl's frightening growth in strength came from. He couldn't help but wonder if there were other more powerful inheritances in the cave. Because they destroyed the cave, Luo Qingtong took advantage of it. Thinking of this, he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. It was fine that Luo Qingtong got the beast mark inheritance, but if Luo Qingtong also got another inheritance because of them, Beast Tamer King Guguzhu felt like he wanted to die. Not only did he fail to kill her, he even gave her benefits. Beast Tamer King Guguzhu didn't feel good just thinking about it. What made him even angrier was that Luo Qingtong raised her hand and pressed one of her fingers on the huge ball of light after forcing him away. There was a wound on her finger that Luo Qingtong had just been cut by the sword energy. The blood on the wound was immediately absorbed by the huge transparent ball of light as soon as it touched the outer shell. Buzz. Blood-colored patterns suddenly spread out on the huge ball of light. This was the formation of a contract. At the same time, the rays of light that fell from the sky enveloped Luo Qingtong in an instant. Countless spirit chi hurricanes and divine beast lights were also distributed to Luo Qingtong as they rushed toward the huge ball of light. Through the power transmitted from the huge ball of light, the latter's entire body was pulled into the air in an instant. Countless spirit chi laws and power rushed into her body in an instant. The aura and power in Luo Qingtong's body kept increasing. It turned out that the power that was used to break the shell of the realm beast was transmitted to Luo Qingtong through the contract at this moment, giving her the opportunity to be infused with the power of heaven and earth. Such an opportunity was comparable to a rare opportunity. After all, the power of heaven and earth was the purest, most fundamental power. This power infused into Luo Qingtong's body was greatly beneficial to her strength. It would have a far-reaching impact in the future. After all, not everyone could obtain the blessings and suppression of the heavenly Tao. Watching this scene, the beast-taming King Valley Master's eyes turned red with jealousy. B***Tich. He rushed toward Luo Qingtong. He never thought that contracting with this ball of light would give him such benefits. The power that Luo Qingtong's sword had stimulated just now had already shocked him. Luo Qingtong was a monster. After so many confrontations, Beast King Guguzhu knew how terrifying the girl's strength and ability were. When she was at the Holy Emperor realm, she could easily dodge the attacks of a group of holy venerables. Chapter 2149. Beast Tamer King Guguzhu could not believe his eyes when he first came into contact with that power. He could not allow her to successfully contract with that gigantic ball of light. He could not allow her strength to increase any further. Otherwise, all of them who had a grudge against her would die here. At this moment, Beast Tamer King Guguzhu's desire to kill Luo Qingtong was even greater than his desire for that gigantic ball of light. Even if he had to destroy that gigantic ball of light, he could not allow Luo Qingtong to successfully contract with it. Beast Tamer King Guguzhu's expression was ferocious. He immediately charged towards Luo Qingtong. Then, with a boom, an attack that had been brewing up to its peak was blasted towards Luo Qingtong. Boom! That boundless power gathered all of Beast Tamer King Guguzhu's strength. All of his strength was gathered in this one move. In an instant, that attack was like a surging sea. A hurricane swept across the sky and blasted towards Luo Qingtong. Buzz! That attack formed the shape of a roaring tiger in midair and blasted towards Luo Qingtong. The move was like its form, gathering the power of heaven and earth to form a spirit. This move even contained the chi of the immortals. The Holy Venerable Realm was the last realm of the Venerable Realm. At the same time, it was the realm closest to the Venerable Realm. Beast Tamer King Guguzhu's strength was still at the peak of the Venerable Realm. This ferocious tiger that was conjured by his move was vivid and lifelike, just like a real tiger. It even had an aura of agility. It was no longer like a tiger formed by a move, which only had the form but not the spirit. The beast-taming King Valley's Valley Master had transformed into a ferocious tiger that possessed a spiritual aura. It roared fiercely at Luo Qingtong and then charged towards Luo Qingtong. That bloody mouth was filled with the essence of beast-tamer King Guguzhu's attack. He vowed to kill Luo Qingtong under his palm. The young girl's threat to him was so great that he couldn't bear it. It was even to the point of fear. Go to hell, bitch. The beast-tamer King Guguzhu's expression was cold. He was certain that Luo Qingtong would be immobilized by the aura of the light ball. The fact that the other party was able to obtain an increase in strength this time was an opportunity, but at the same time a restriction. When one's aura was being injected and raised, one could not move casually. With the power of heaven and earth pouring in, Luo Qingtong could not move even if she wanted to. She probably didn't think of this when she made the contract, right? Beast Tamer King Guguju sneered. Right now he was going to kill this B*TCH on the spot. Roar. The power of the tiger swept out in an instant and rushed towards Luo Qingtong. The latter looked at the power of the tiger that was rushing towards her with cold eyes. Luo Qingtong did not expect that after making the contract with the light ball, she would be faced with an increase in strength. If Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others were not here, such an increase in strength was definitely a great opportunity. But now that Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others were here, this opportunity became a crisis for her. Luo Qingtong's body was fixed in mid-air. The blood in her hand was being sucked out continuously. The huge light beam and the spirit aura hurricane in the sky were also being injected. Through the contract with the light ball, they were increasing her strength and aura. Unless she immediately gave up the contract with this sector beast, she would not be able to escape the attack of Beast Tamer King Guguju. Chapter 2150. Luo Qingtong frowned slightly. The bloody light in her eyes flickered. Even though there were countless ways to avoid this attack, Luo Qingtong couldn't move because she couldn't give up. In her dictionary of life there was never such a word. She could choose not to fight for temporary gains and losses and avoid the attack. But this time if she dared to retreat, Beast Tamer King Guguju would definitely take the opportunity to attack. At that time if he seized the opportunity to contract with the sector beast, Luo Qingtong wouldn't be able to avoid it either. In that case why should she hide? At the moment of life and death, only by fighting with all her strength could she have a chance of survival. This was the experience that Luo Qingtong had gained from countless pursuits in the past when she fell into adversity. At the moment of life and death she would never retreat. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold. In just an instant her mind communicated with the 9-layered exquisite pagoda in her mind. At this time, only this suppressive artifact might be able to solve her crisis. However, the only thing that Luo Qingtong was worried about was that this 9-layered exquisite pagoda had another name, which was Suppressing Demon Pagoda. And she was in the process of contracting with the sector beast. She didn't know if this would affect her. Luo Qingtong thought about it and her frown deepened. But at this moment, the ferocious tiger formed by the move was already in front of her. There was no time to hesitate. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold. She communicated with the 9-layered exquisite pagoda directly and was about to draw out the opponent's aura. At this moment, bang! A figure rushed in front of her in an instant and blocked the fierce tiger's attack. Bang! The figure was instantly blasted away by the fierce tiger's attack. With a boom he hit the ground not far from Luo Qingtong. The white bones on the ground were smashed into powder. Cough cough. The person coughed violently and then raised his head. It was the Sky Yuan sect master. That's right, to be able to block the Beast Tamer King Guguju's attack, one must be at the same level as him. At this moment the other sects were being held back by the Beast Taming King's Valley. Only the Heavenly Yuan sect and Su Yu's group managed to catch up. While everyone was still stunned by Luo Qingtong's appearance, they bypassed the Beast Tamer Valley's group and appeared not far away from Luo Qingtong and Guguju. As soon as Luo Qingtong made a move, the Sky Yuan sect master immediately rushed over and stood in front of her. After all, if the Beast Tamer King Guguju could see the situation Luo Qingtong was in, how could they not? Pooh! The Heaven Branch sect master raised his head and spat out a mouthful of blood. The Beast Tamer King Guguju had obtained the 5th Beast Tamer incantation. His strength and his contracted beasts were becoming more and more compatible. The strength he could unleash was also several times stronger than before. They were both peak holy venerables, but the Heaven Branch sect master was no match for the Beast Tamer King Guguju. Fortunately, he had obtained the divine jade bone that Luo Qingtong had given him in advance because of the Grand Supreme President and Bai Suqing's relationship. Otherwise, he would have been seriously injured and on the verge of death after taking on the Beast Tamer King Guguju's attack. Sect Master. Father. Master. Everyone from the Heavenly Yuan sect had already rushed over. Seeing the Heavenly Yuan sect master fall, they hurriedly helped him up. Su Yu, Su Xiaoxiao, and the others rushed in front of Luo Qingtong and looked at Luo Qingtong through the huge light pillar and spiritual energy storm. Master. Chapter 2151. Their eyes were filled with tears as they looked at Luo Qingtong. Mistress, we're here. Don't worry, we won't let anyone disturb you, Su Yu said firmly to Luo Qingtong. The people of heavenly diabolism behind her stood upright, just like when they were in the Luo family following Luo Qingtong. Among the people of heavenly diabolism, there were people from heavenly diabolism as well as people from the Luo family's Iron Army. Because they were sent by Luo Qingtong to the western regions to assist Suyu, they merged with the people of heavenly diabolism. They followed Suyu and were called heavenly diabolism. At this moment they were all standing silently behind Suyu, looking at Luo Qingtong in the light beam. In the past it was always the young mistress who stood in front of them, blocking all the bloody storms for them. She only let out a little wind and rain, allowing them to temper themselves and improve themselves. Under the young mistress's wings they slowly grew and improved. The young mistress was so powerful that she could recruit more people who were willing to work for her, who were willing to serve her. But the young mistress had always led them. She didn't despise them for being weak, nor did she despise them for being stupid. She spent a lot of effort to pave the way for them and improve their strength. But for the promise she made to them in the past, I promise you here that as long as the Luo family exists, you will all enjoy the same glory. In the future no one can stop you from soaring for thousands of miles. At that time the young lady was high-spirited, standing in the martial arts arena of the Luo family. When the Luo family was at its weakest, surrounded by wolves, she made a promise to them. At that time they thought that Luo Qingtong was trying to appease them. But who knew that so many years had passed? The Luo family had leaped from the aristocratic family of the Eastern Fence country to the ruler of the Great Yong sacred dynasty. Luo Qingtong had even walked out of the secular world of the true Spill continent and came to the hidden world. They had reached a level they had never imagined. But in the end he had never forgotten them. The girl who had once promised them that she would soar into the heavens and no one could stop her had really brought them all out with her own strength. From the Eastern Fence country to the western regions, from the western regions to the hidden world, and then to the land of the fallen immortals. They had traveled to places they had never dared to imagine. They now possessed strength that they had never dared to dream of before. Not only that, but they also had a proud status that surpassed even those of the true Spill continent. All of this came from the young girl in front of him. She used her own strength to bring them to witness her glory, and gave them the same honor. Their lives were worth it. Miss, just focus on breaking through the contract. We will stay by your side and not let anyone get close to you. That is, unless all of them died. Su Xiaoxiao, little overlord Yuan, and the others had the same thoughts as them. The girl met them in the branch of the Empire of Qin in the Tianyu Empire. He had brought them from good-for-nothing trash to their current strength and status. Everything they had was given to them by Luo Qingtong. Now that the girl was in trouble, they were naturally duty-bound. Boss, just focus on breaking through the contract. Little Overlord Yuan said with a carefree face, full of heroism. With us here, no one will be able to get close to you. Chapter 2152. Their voices were sonorous. Luo Qingtong looked at these people around her. She looked at them, telling her to break through the contract and not to worry. They would protect her. Her heart was touched again and again. That uncontrollable warmth. From her eyes, heart and soul it kept flowing. Luo Qingtong's life was full of ups and downs. Except for the old beggar who withdrew from her life early. In her last life she did not get any warmth about people and humanity. After her ability was exposed, everyone tried to get close to her in order to obtain her ability so that they could use her. All the kindness and warmth had a price. It was not that she did not choose to believe. But in the end all she got was betrayal. Therefore her character became more and more evil, more and more independent and more unscrupulous. After coming to this different world, why did she protect the Luo family and Old Master Luo so much? That was because Old Master Luo's love and care for the previous Luo Qingtong was like the old beggar's love and care for her in her last life. In her last life, Luo Qingtong could not give him a good life because her ability awakened too late. She could not protect him until he grew old. So in this life she would never let Old Master Luo be sad. If he wanted to revive the Luo family, she would revive the Luo family. If he wanted to know the safety of Luo Jinghong and the others, she would work hard to find them. Luo Qingtong did not want the tragedy of her last life to repeat in this life. She was used to carrying everything on her own. Before she met Xianxia, she did not even think about who she would rely on and who she could rely on. She had to rely on herself for everything. She fought against the heavens and was bruised all over. But the man used his broad shoulders to shelter her from the wind and rain, to resist the wind and frost for her. He never coveted her ability. His strength was extraordinary and his status was outstanding, but he never forced her because of it. He let her escape and alienate so that she could slowly adapt and accept him. It could be said that Yi Qianxian was the first person to give Luo Qingtong a sense of security. His love had never brought Luo Qingtong a sense of suffocation or oppression. On the contrary, it was incomparably reassuring. As for Su Yu and the others, Luo Qingtong's gaze swept over the figures and faces in front of her. These people said that she had given them everything. But to Luo Qingtong she was just fulfilling her duty as a master and boss. She wanted to have her own forces and team, so naturally she wouldn't be stingy with giving benefits to the people around her. However, they remembered her kindness in their hearts and stood by her side at the crucial moment. There was no calculation, no coldness, no indifference. These people had stood by her side without hesitation when she was in the most difficult situation. They were completely different from those who had come to her side for the sake of benefits and her ability in her previous life. Their eyes were filled with sincerity and passion. His eyes were filled with determination, and he was not stingy about giving up his life for her. She had all the warmth and tenderness that she could not get in the past in this life. Luo Qingtong looked at them and smiled. If this was her goal in coming here in this life, then in her previous life she did not die unjustly. Chapter 2153. But in this life she wanted to live a good life. For a long time. Because of the people around her. Okay. Luo Qingtong looked at them and nodded. It's all up to you. Protect me. Luo Qingtong had always been used to fighting against the heavens. Other than Yi Qianming, she had never put her life in the hands of anyone else. This time she put her life in the hands of Su Yu and the others. Swish. She closed her eyes, and the aura around her started to rise at a rapid speed. At the same time, the blood-red lines in her hand where the light ball was connected to were also moving quickly. Round and round they moved quickly to the outer shell of the light ball. Once these blood-red lines covered the entire body of the outer shell, the contract between Luo Qingtong and the sector beast would be completed. Luo Qingtong's wholehearted devotion obviously sped up the process. Boom. When Luo Qingtong was wholeheartedly devoted to the contract and the breakthrough on the other side, Beast Tamer King Guguju saw that his attack was blocked and rushed over again. However, he was stopped by the people from the Sky Yuan sect when he was halfway there. Cough cough. The Sky Yuan sect master appeared in front of him with the help of the people of the Sky Yuan sect. Beast Tamer King Guguju, don't waste your time. With the people of the Sky Yuan sect here, don't even think about taking a step forward. If Luo Qingtong succeeded in the contract, it would be a good thing for the people of the Sky Yuan sect. Not to mention they owed Luo Qingtong a favor. If it weren't for the girl and Su Yu, they would have suffered heavy losses after entering the Forbidden Zone. Not to mention Luo Qingtong was in this predicament because Qin Tong betrayed Su Yu and the others. Otherwise, Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others would never have had the chance to get close to the light ball. They owed Luo Qingtong too much. Whether it was for her or for themselves, they couldn't let the people of Beast Taming King's Valley stop Luo Qingtong from forming a contract with the Ball of Light. You want to stop me? The Beast Tamer King Guguju looked at them angrily. He could ignore Su Yu and the others, but he couldn't afford to be careless with the people from the Sky Yuan sect. It was not that he was afraid that he would not be able to defeat the people from the Sky Yuan sect. Instead, he couldn't allow them to stall for time. Luo Qingtong's aura was becoming denser and denser. She was about to break through to the peak of the Saint Emperor realm. The blood-colored veins on the ball of light had already covered a small half of it. The Beast Tamer King Guguju's expression was unusually cold. Good. He sneered at the Tian Yuan sect master and the others. He snorted, "Do you think you can stop me with just you? If it weren't for the fact that I'm afraid of being successfully contracted by that bitch, I could kill all of you by myself with a bit of time." The Beast Tamer King Guguju's heart was filled with disdain. Even the strongest person in the Sky Yuan sect, the sect master, had been injured by him. How could the others possibly be a match for him? Of course, this was also because the Sky Yuan sect master had rushed out in a hurry. He couldn't block Guguju's attack with all his strength. Otherwise, his injuries wouldn't be so serious. But it was useless to say more. The remaining elders of the Sky Yuan sect could only delay the Beast Tamer King Guguju for a short while. But the Beast Tamer King Guguju wasn't willing to give them even that short moment. After all, that woman Luo Qingtong was too strange and cunning. Chapter 2154. His opponent had already reached a terrifying level. The beast tamer King Guguju had never tasted defeat like Luo Qingtong against a cultivator who was weaker than him. To him, his opponent was no longer just a cultivator who was weaker than him. The pressure and threat she brought to him was much more intense and terrifying than a cultivator who was stronger than him. He absolutely could not give Luo Qingtong any chance to breathe. He absolutely could not let her succeed in forming the contract. With this thought in mind, the beast tamer King Guguju's face darkened as he said to the other sects who were blocked outside, "Everyone, you've seen it too. That bitch Luo Qingtong is about to succeed in forming the contract with that ball of light. The treasure in this forbidden area is extremely powerful and terrifying. I wonder what level it is. If she gets her hands on that ball of light, our beast tamer King's Valley will be in big trouble. You people who helped her with her evil deeds and almost killed her subordinates won't be able to escape either, right?" He sneered. "Moreover, we just threatened the Sky Yuan sect. Do you think they won't take revenge after that bitch Luo Qingtong successfully forms the contract with that ball of light?" The beast tamer King Guguju's face was cold and gloomy. Hearing his words, everyone, including the Sky Yuan sect master and Suyu, felt their hearts skip a beat. Especially Suyu and the others. They had just finished speaking with Luo Qingtong and were now gathering with the Sky Yuan sect to guard against the beast tamer King Guguju. Their hearts skipped a beat when they heard the other party's words. The beast tamer King Guguju was obviously trying to drive a wedge between them. He wanted the other sects to join forces to deal with them. In this way, even if they joined forces with the Sky Yuan sect, they might not be able to hold them off for long. After all, there were many first-class and second-class sects among the other sections. On their side, there was only the Heavenly Yuan sect, which was a first-class sect. As for the other sects in the hidden world, their hearts skipped a beat when they heard the words of the beast tamer King Guguju. Even though they knew that the beast tamer King Guguju was trying to drive a wedge between them and the Heavenly Yuan sect, as well as Suyu and the others, they didn't know what to do. However, the people from the various sects had to admit it. The beast tamer King Guguju's scheme was blatantly obvious. So what if they saw through the other party's thoughts? What the other party said was the truth. Previously, in order to reach the center of the Forbidden Zone, they had joined forces with beast tamer King Guguju and the others to force the Heavenly Yuan sect and Suyu. Not only that, he even threatened Suyu and the others with the lives of the Heavenly Yuan sect's people. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that all of these were mortal enemies. If they allowed Luo Qingtong to successfully contract with the Ball of Light, would they still have a good time? They didn't dare to gamble. From the looks of it, it would be better to help the Beast Tamer King Valley obtain the Ball of Light. After all, if the Beast Tamer King Valley obtained the Ball of Light, they would at most be disbanded and forced to join the Beast Tamer King Valley. However, if Luo Qingtong obtained the Ball of Light, as the crowd thought about it, their gazes towards the Heavenly Yuan sect and Suyu changed. Seeing the change in their expressions, the Heavenly Yuan sect master, Suyu and the others' gazes changed abruptly. Everyone. The Heavenly Yuan sect master wanted to say something. Chapter 2155. The people from the various sects were already standing on the side of the Beast Tamer King, Guguju. Sky Branch Sect Master, we know what you want to say. A first-rate sect master said in a low voice, but to us, your words are not persuasive at all. So what if the Sky Branch Sect Master told them that they wouldn't pursue the matter? The people from the various sects didn't dare to bet on what Luo Qingtong would do in the end. They couldn't use their own sect's future to gamble with the Sky Branch sect. Of course, the people from the various sects also had other thoughts. That was, the people from the Beast Tamer King's Valley wouldn't stop them now. Then, when they dealt with the people from the Sky Branch sect later, would they be able to seize the opportunity to obtain the contract rights to that Ball of Light? With such thoughts in mind, they didn't listen to the Sky Branch sect master's words and directly stood on the side of the Beast Tamer King, Guguju. Ha ha ha. The Beast Tamer King, Guguju, raised his head to the sky and laughed. His laughter was unusually sinister and complacent. Do you see that? Sky Branch Sect Master and all of you. He looked coldly at the Sky Branch Sect Master Suyu and the rest and laughed coldly. You can't protect Luo Qingtong. If you know what's good for you, then scram. This way, if I'm in a good mood, I might reluctantly spare your worthless lives. Of course, Luo Qingtong's people are an exception. All of them must die. Suyu and the rest looked coldly at him, completely unmoved. The Sky Branch Sect Master and the rest didn't care about the Beast Tamer King, Gu Guzhu's words. They were bound together with Luo Qingtong for good or ill. The words of the Beast Tamer King Gu Guzhu were simply not to be trusted. Furthermore, to become a dog under the feet of the Beast Tamer King Gu Guzhu in order to survive, they might even be worse than a dog. The people of the Sky Branch weren't that cheap. Father. Master. Bai Suqing and the Grand Supreme Dean were afraid that the Heaven Branch Sect Master would be persuaded by the Beast Tamer King Gu Guzhu. Just as they were about to speak, the Heaven Branch Sect Master waved his hand at them. Then he ordered the people of the Sky Yuan sect, set up the array. With the Sky Yuan sect's ability, they would risk their lives to protect Luo Qingtong. If he succeeded, the Heavenly Yuan sect would have nothing to worry about in the future. If it doesn't work, then I'll just treat it as giving away my life to Luo Qingtong and the others. In any case, this was what they owed the other party. Yes. Bai Suqing and the Grand Supreme Dean wept with joy. They quickly set up the array with the others. The crowd surrounded Luo Qingtong and the ball of light in the middle. Seeing this, the Beast Tamer King Gu Guzhu's expression turned cold. Refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Since you're so stubborn, then go die with Luo Qingtong and the others. His eyes were cold. Now that he had the people of the other sects and the Beast Tamer King's Valley on his side, how long would it take to deal with the Heaven Branch Sect Master and the others? He'd kill them all in an instant. At that time they would go to hell with Luo Qingtong and the others. The Beast Tamer King Gu Guzhu sneered. Boom. He raised his hand and instantly, an attack was launched towards the Heaven Branch Sect Master and the others. At the same time he waved his hand and shouted, "Attack." As he spoke, he had already raised his hand. Golden-Winged Condor. Previously, the Golden-Winged Condor had been fighting the people of the other sects with the people of the Beast Tamer King's Valley and the other demonic beasts. Chapter 2156. Boom. The Beast Taming King Valley's Valley Master roared. Instantly, the golden-winged eagle with bloodshot eyes spread its huge wings and flew in front of the Beast Tamer King Gu Guzhu. Kill. The Beast Tamer King Gu Guzhu's voice was cold as he flew onto the golden-winged eagle. The other members of the Beast Taming King's Valley also jumped onto their contracted beasts in an instant. The power of their beast taming art combined with their contracted beasts increased the strength of both parties. This was the power of a beast tamer. Not only were they strong, but they also had the help of their contracted beasts. They could also increase the strength of their contracted beasts in battle. They could make 1 + 1 greater than 2. This kind of increase in strength was not something an ordinary warrior or soul master could achieve. Unless it was a soul master with a special soul seal. Otherwise, an ordinary soul master of the same level would not be able to compete with a beast tamer's fighting strength. Boom. After the group of people jumped onto their respective beasts, their strength increased greatly. They immediately rushed towards the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect. Behind them was a group of people from the other sections. They wanted the contracted light balls and rushed towards the Heavenly Yuan sect and Suyu without hesitation. Boom boom boom. Waves of extremely powerful aura fluctuations burst out from the group of people from the other sections. Then the group of people rushed towards Luo Qingtong like a tide. Protect Master. People from the Heavenly Diabolism, let them go. Along with Suyu's voice, suddenly a bright light like a living thing lit up from the direction of their bodies. The group of people from the Heavenly Yuan sect did not know what Suyu meant by "let them go" at first. But when they saw the huge whirlpool and the figure that appeared beside them, everyone's eyes widened. This is... The people from the Heavenly Yuan sect were shocked. The Grand Supreme Dean slapped his thigh. Damn. Great. This evil Dr. Brat is actually hiding so many things from me. Haha. This stinky girl. Wait till she successfully breaks through the contract. I will definitely settle the score with her. He hit it too well. As the Grand Supreme Dean scolded him, he laughed heartily. Not because of anything else, but because what appeared next to Suyu and the others were demonic beasts. Furthermore, although the level of this group of demonic beasts was not as high as the golden-winged Great Ping and the others under the Beast Tamer King Gu Guzhu and the others, their tyrannical auras were strangely not overpowered by them. Besides Suyu, the Thunder Beast's figure grew bigger in an instant. With a roar, it threw Suyu onto its back. Roar. Suyu stepped on the Thunder Beast's shoulder and looked in the direction of the Beast Tamer King Gu Guzhu and the others. His eyes were cold. Let us deal with those demons. Su Yu and the others' contracts were all heaven and earth contracts. As for the demonic beasts under them, they were originally savage beasts that were hiding at the edge of the western wilderness. Although these demonic beasts were not as high level as the golden-winged Great Ping and the others, their ferocious auras were not any weaker than the golden-winged Great Ping and the others. After all, the demonic beasts that could raise their strength to the Saint Realm and above in that area were all extremely powerful and ferocious. Furthermore, they had previously been fed by Luo Qingtong with the aura of the 9-story exquisite pagoda.